Okay, so over 7 years and 7 Home Secretaries, the first
no.
call for a second inquiry was late last year.
How did this fantastic Professor Alexis Jay really expose the Tories as complete hypocrites? Well, on the 21st of January 2025, Professor Alexis Jay was in a Home Affairs Select Committee oral evidence meeting on the implementation of the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, where Labour MP Chris Murray asked this bit of a zinger.
You've set out your engagement with the Home Office over the years, and I wonder, was there any time under any Home Secretary or any Home Office Minister where you were advised that the scope of your inquiry was either too broad for the recommendations to be implemented, or too narrow, specifically on grooming gangs? Did anyone ever intimate to you, either before or after publication, it was too broad?
No, not too narrow, of course. I think that, well, I already said it, but the width of it was a benefit for the reasons I've mentioned earlier. But I personally, because of the nature of being a chair, I did not engage directly with the political side of it. You had to be very... Fairness is really important as the chair of a public inquiry, and objectivity. But there was no communication of that time.
Did anyone ever say to you at any point during this that a second inquiry might be required?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Nobody from the Home Office or any other Home Secretary criticised how this inquiry was being run, and not one person said that a second inquiry will be required. But it gets better.
There's been obviously a lot of calls for that recently. When did you first hear of a call for second inquiries into this issue?
Well, probably the same time as you did, but it was as a consequence of the general discussion in the public domain about... I don't particularly use the term grooming gangs, and never have, not even when I was doing the work in Rotherham, but what we call organised networks, absolutely not. I've never heard of any of it before.
Okay, so over 7 years and 7 Home Secretaries, the first call for a second inquiry was late last year.
Yes, that's
Okay,
that's
thank
right.
you.
Conclusive proof that these people who are using these victims of child abuse were only doing it for political gain and to use them as a political punch bag, weren't they? You know, those who were Home Secretaries who had plenty of opportunities to criticise this inquiry or demand another inquiry. But they were not interested, were they? You know, because they've never cared about these victims at all, have they? Because if they did, they would have implemented those recommendations, wouldn't they? Absolute hypocrites, aren't they? And if you want further proof that these vile Tories never really give a fuck about these victims of these horrible crimes, watch this video here. And also, if you enjoy everything else of Commons and Select Committee meetings, like and subscribe, and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.